Hey everyone, let's go talk about watersheds. You may be wondering, why come up here on the roof to talk about watersheds, Mr. Russell? Why not go to a pristine mountain creek? Well, two reasons. For one, we just had those big storms yesterday, and well, the access to most of those pristine mountain creeks is kind of blocked. Second reason is, this actually shows you watersheds pretty well. At its simplest, a watershed is simply a place that sheds water. I mean, it makes sense, right? Water, shed, water. But what does that look like in action? And what effect does that have on us? See, from up here, we have a lot of different angles and ridges. It's going to be easy to see the flow of water without all those things like trees and buildings and parking lots and other stuff in the way. Now, this may seem very simple, but water always flows downhill. I know, shocker, right? Water can't actually go up a hill. It goes from the top of a hill to the bottom of a hill, the top of a mountain to the bottom of a mountain, from the top of a roof to the bottom of a roof. As you can see, the roof of my house, there's a lot of different angles to it, right? The roof doesn't slant in just one direction. What that means is when it rains on top of my house, the water flows in different directions. And that water gets collected into the gutters. If we want to look at one watershed, an easy watershed to see on my roof is where this ridge goes all the way up to the peak, all the way around. The top of the ridges on my roof make one watershed. So how then do we define a watershed? Well, it's the area that sheds water. Let's do an experiment real quick. All right, here we are at the top of the house on that main center ridge. What I have here is water. Now, if I pour it on this side, the water goes downhill that way to that gutter. If I pour it on this side, it flows down that way to that gutter. So what decides which way the water flows? Well, this center ridge. So depending on which side of the ridge it falls on, it'll go one way or the other way. Those are separate watersheds. And the same thing can happen right here. Okay? Water that pours on this side goes that way. Water that's poured on that side goes that way. These gutters may eventually connect up. It's the same way with Lookout Mountain. The water that you saw at Lula Lake Land Trust, well, it went on that side of Lookout Mountain. If we climbed up the hill a little bit more, you would have seen water flow the other way to Lookout Mountain, down the other side of Lookout Mountain towards Trenton, Dade County. That rainfall still eventually wound up in the Tennessee River. So why do we care so much about watersheds? Besides the fact that I'm a hydrologist and I kind of geek out on water. Well, the reason why we care about watersheds so much is water transports things. It carries stuff. You've already learned this about Egypt, India, China. Those rivers carried silt and sediment and fertilizer from the mountains down to the valleys where it made these fertile plains that we could actually plant in as early humans. But in modern days, we're really concerned about watersheds transporting things like pollution. Y'all saw that at Chattanooga Creek. So why do we care about watersheds so much? Well, because what happens up there on Lookout Mountain eventually affects us. Chattanooga Creek, the creek that flows right by Howard, it actually starts way up there in Lula Lake. Our Howard Connect watershed goes all the way from Howard through St. Elmo and Alton Park, down there, actually into Georgia, through Flintstone, where I grew up, and then it winds its way up to the top of Lookout Mountain, where Rock Creek, the creek that you saw at Lula Lake Land Trust, all of that is part of the same watershed. Watersheds don't care where a state line is. They don't care what part of town you live in. It's all about the water that collects into that same area. GoPro, stop recording. Well guys, that's it today for Watersheds. I hope you enjoyed this little experiment tutorial modeling session. I'll see y'all next time. Have a great rest of your day. Oh, for those of you that were wondering, Bo had the most correct answer. See y'all.